and excitement of UofL women's athletics. Uh, the show did not air last week. I know that you all formed long lines in protest to your local cable providers, but it was not their fault. It was just a group decision not to do a show. Uh, that being said, we are back almost at full strength with you this week. Daryl is out of town at a bachelorette party, I understand. So, with all of Daryl's friends getting married, it seems like in the last year or so, one has to wonder whether soon her bell will be rung as well. But we'll see on that. She certainly has the experience on how to throw a bachelorette party. But we do have Case, we do have Jeff, we do have Jared, and myself, Polly, with you today. As we have some fairly exciting things to discuss with you today. Admittedly, I will be probably a minor participant in today's show because basically I don't know what in the hell happened here last week. But anyway, just to lay it out there like that. But let's catch up a little bit with the folks who were in town all weekend and had some fun here with it. Kind of see how their weeks went. Case, how did your things go for you this past week?
Well, it's been a busy week. Had a work deadline this week that was interrupted by a work trip last week, right in the crunch period. So got to stay quite busy, but got it licked. Was less than enthused to get an email at 4 o'clock yesterday p.m. from project team member saying that they wanted any revisions that they had to the and responses to comments they had made completed by 10 a.m. Central Time on Monday. And it's like, so you gave everybody 4 whole working hours to complete that task, huh? But promptly ignored it. I'll acknowledge that when I when I get back into the swing of things. Just enjoying the more relaxed time, trying to see if the weather's going to hold out today. Get some more yard work done in preparation for Derby Party next week and all the stuff that goes along with spring in the Derby City.
First Saturday of May, man. That's what that's the day circled on everyone's calendar in the city, right?
Yeah.
Certainly our time to shine on the national stage. As I think I've received already 4 Derby Party invites, and uh, I will not be attending any of them this year. My own personal choice. I'm just simply going to sit on the couch and watch the races for 1 year without having to worry about people placing bets, people arguing about particular horses and stuff like that. I will argue with the folks on TV, and there's plenty to argue with when they come to bet. But anyway, got Jared in the house with us. Jared's, of course, always busy down on campus taking pictures of something, and was at softball last night. What's your week been like, bud?
Just staying busy with work. Thankfully, we have a new person starting that'll fill us back up to a full house in our department, which will be beneficial. And like you said, campus stays busy, especially this time of year. Spring sports are wrapping up, and it being graduation and grad photo season. So any extra time I have anywhere is getting booked into that, including Katie's graduation a couple weeks after she passed her big exam yesterday.
Very good. The celebration dinner there, I'm sure, is not often soon for that.
Whatever she wants to do is what I told her.
Well, there you go. Expect that trip then to Buenos Aires anytime. Make sure and get good airfare prices. Also, Jeff on board today with us. Another busy week for Jeff as always. Who was telling us that he likes Derby pie. I don't understand.
Yeah, so there's a group in town called Derby Pie, but it's a PY instead of PIE, and not PI, like the size of a circle. It's a group it's a user group for people that like to use the Python programming language, which I do a lot in my work. But I was saying that I volunteered because apparently I'm a sucker, I guess. I don't know. To do a live stream of the presentation and the meeting, and use largely the same setup that I use here for Cardinal Couple. So, and with the Video Ninja and OBS and streaming to YouTube. So, Tried it out for the first time on Thursday night. Went fairly well. Got a few little hiccups and glitches and figure out how best to present it. But yeah, I was pretty happy with it. It went pretty well.
There you go. Your burgeoning career as a producer, director.
Yeah.
We'll no doubt see him and Jeff Walls on a 30-minute talk show down the road.
No, I mean, I'm starting to figure out that my talents are better used maybe behind the production screen instead of in front of it. I don't know.
They say interesting things happen behind screens, Jeff, so have fun. Be forewarned and be forewarned. As for me, it's, I don't really know how to describe the week, except that I barely remember the week very much. I did decide to leave Louisville for a while and go down and talk with a friend that I've known for a few years who is very, very good at talking things out and has a great ear. That was good. That helped me a lot because I was in a very dark spot earlier this week. But in any event, missed just about everything that happened UofL sports-wise, except that I did hear that a certain All-American guard we had decided she would rather go down and walk through the swamp. Interesting move on her part, but and totally proved everybody's theories wrong that had theories on that. So why would you want to go play for a crazy lady? Well, guess what? She's down there. Good luck to her. But other than that, yeah, just one of those we all go through things, and as I found later, you get in this world and in life, the weeks sometimes tend to just really fly by, and you kind of wonder, well, God, wasn't yesterday Monday? No, it wasn't. But we're going to throw this over to Case for, I don't know, there isn't probably a whole lot there on scheduling, but you can do what you can with it and let us know.
Yeah, it's pretty thin. As lacrosse wrapped up their spring season, has ended. Soccer and volleyball have both wrapped up their spring play. It gets to the point where, a lot of these student athletes have finished finals already. The last day of finals will be Tuesday on the 2nd. UofL always endeavoring to get done with finals before the Derby. So it's always funny having. It always seemed like you would have final projects due on the last day of classes, and the last day of classes would always be the Monday after Thunder. So every UofL student at Thunder procrastinating in some way, either not doing a project or not studying, something like that. But as for the athletics, you got track and field is finishing up the. What's the name of it? I have it open here. It's not listed. The Clarkwood Invitational.
No Lenny Lyles Invitational this year. Did they officially drop that?
Well, it's the Clarkwood Invitational this year. I think they had the Lenny Lyles.
Wasn't that one of the indoor ones?
Yeah, I think that's a fall meet.
Fall or winter. They moved that to indoors now. Okay.
So that is going on today. Started yesterday. Today, the last day of that one. Softball with their second game of the weekend against Boston College. That game is at 2. It's on ACC Network. And I believe Jared was saying that before we got on here that the senior day festivities will start around 1:30. Is that right, Jared?
Probably about 1:40 to get through the 5 seniors in time for first pitch.
Yep. So if you're going to make it out for that, hopefully the weather will cooperate and send them off with hopefully another win, and then hopefully one more in the series finale tomorrow and the Ulmer season finale. That one will be at noon on Sunday. Rowing in a spring meet hosted by Michigan tomorrow. And then no midweek for softball. They hit the road next week to take on Florida State in their final series of the season. That will be at 6 p.m. on Friday, and then 2 o'clock on Derby Day. So that's it, with just basically baseball and softball on the schedule. It's pretty thin for Cardinal couple rooting interests there. As for the Twitter accounts, I tweet as at best case scenario. Sometimes I elect not to tweet about or certain retweets or quote tweets that I start and then delete, just because it's not worth it.
So true. So true.
Paulie is at Cardinal Couple. Jeff is at Card Couple Radio and at Jeff McAdams. Jared is at Mr. Anderson Jared, and Daryl is at Daryl Faust 4. And as long as it keeps running, we got that right side of the website, the Twitter widget over there, containing all of the UofL athletics accounts on the Cardinal Couple website. So that gets us through scheduling and Twitter for what it was in April as we slowly approach the summer doldrums.
Merely leaving one month and heading into another, but the month of May always an important month around here as far as obviously the festivities that go into the Derby and all the side events that take place in addition to the 2 minutes on the main oval. I think today they had the balloon race today, if I'm not mistaken, and I
Well, they
understand
did get that off.
that they landed on the 10th hole of Standard Golf Course. So how about that?
Really?
You're getting ready to tee
Right
off,
down the
and
road from my house.
you're like, yeah, just kind of fade it to the left there, John, and avoid that hot air balloon that's about to land 200 yards in front of you. Oh, okay. So I understand they did that.
Free drop if you like bounce it off the balloon,
I
or is that?
think you hit it off the balloon through the clown's mouth and it rolls out the chute.
Yeah.
I hope they dropped a sandbag on somebody's ball.
I'm just hoping some guy who has actually kicked his ball out of the rough into the fairway, which is obviously a one-stroke penalty, got a sandbag right on top of his head. As God was saying, you will play where it lays and don't move it. But, so that's I don't know who actually got closest to the drop. I didn't follow that much of it. I was reading a very fascinating article about the demise of Becky Burke, which I doubt we'll get into today because that's not positive news. But
also a little overstated, I think. But
it's that's what media is anymore today, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
People will take a night crawler and claim that they've got a python or an anaconda.
Mm-hmm.
So in any event, the best of BBs, my favorite quote of her one time was I asked her why she was smiling all the time, and she said, "If you shot the ball like me, you'd be smiling all the time too." Very great quote at her from years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I said, "Gee, if I had an ego like yours too, I'd probably be the mayor." But no. So we find out some other things that have, obviously, I think of importance that we need to talk about. First of all, is the softball team. The softball team is, by golly, they're playing good ball. And for what I was just able to read in Case's article today, and a thumping of the Eagles, Boston College, and I think Jared, you were out there, obviously taking photos of players posing for you in between innings. Did you get the action shots in, or just
every once in a while?
Just cheese shots of the infield.
Yeah, spent some time talking to Celine Funky and Katie Barber, both softball alums that made an appearance at the game last night as well.
Katie Barber, I do not remember. Celine, I remember very well.
Oh, and then a guest appearance by CC Rush from volleyball in the stands as well.
Cool.
Obviously looking for a second sport to parlay her talents into based on their... No, never mind. But Jeff, did you make it out as well?
I did not make it out last night. I did watch online though.
Okay.
That has kind of become appointment viewing, so it's been a lot of fun. If I don't make it out there, I make sure to catch it online.
Yeah, I forgot basically what time the game was,
Mm-hmm.
and I was actually watching some very great. And I won't name the channel or anything like that, but there's a TV channel here on cable had like 8 hours of music from the 60s documentaries, which was fantastic. They had
Wow.
They did the Jimi Hendrix story, which was incredible, and they also did Woodstock, the director's cut, which included a lot of things that weren't in the original Woodstock movie, and they even did This Is Elvis, by God. So I was thinking that the game was going to come on at 8 o'clock and was all prepared to watch it at 8 o'clock, and Guess what? It was over. So anyway, but you guys did see it. Jared, talk about this Cardinal win, 10-2, big.
Yeah, I think it really showcased the offensive talents of this team that we've been seeing this year, and as we've discussed some recently, just some of the high rankings in several offensive categories, both from individual standpoints with Taylor Roby, Corbiotis, as well as just as a team as a whole. Case mentioned in the article, they had a bit of a slow start yesterday. That's all right. They really bounced back. They hit the huge inning to really propel them forward, and then the walk-off base hit to win it. But I think this is just a team that's really relied on their offensive prowess this year, and then has kind of been supported in the background by some solid pitching, with a mixture of yesterday Alyssa Zabala in the start, and then Sambu to close it out. But yeah, I think just all around this team is hitting extremely well. We saw Roby hit her NCAA leading 20th home run that first landed in the second berm and then bounced somewhere into the trees. That a couple folks went digging for it, but her family did fortunately obtain that ball. And then Hannah File with a home run later on as well to kind of help power that offense.
Nice win for the Cards there. And I guess as a photographer, I must ask you the question, have you ever taken a photo where Alyssa Zabala was not smiling?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully we never come into that unless if it's tears of joy from winning a championship, something like that. But no, she certainly smiles a lot, and that's just her demeanor, and that's how she was raised by her parents. Is always smiles so nobody knows what you're thinking.
It's a wonderful thing to see too if you're watching. Just like, yeah, she just gave up 3 singles in a row, and she's still smiling. Give her the ball back. She's ready to pitch again. Very, very nice. Very uplifting to see that instead of the scowl, which you can sometimes see on opposing teams' pitchers after we've basically beat them to death with our bats. And that was the case again yesterday. At one point in time, I think I saw we had 8 runs on 8 hits. And Jeff, that's pretty efficient stuff right there.
It really is. And it's not, you think when small ball, you got that we've talked about this little team playing more this year, that, you're going to leave a few players on base. You're probably going to have a few more hits than you're going to have runs because you're not necessarily doing those big, triples and home runs to get a lot of your scores. Although, to be fair, we do have the NCAA's leader in home runs on the team. So that's only partially the truth. But that's an incredibly efficient offense at that point. So that's great to see. It was a lot of fun to watch too.
As you can read all about this in case you tire of our descriptions of the game on the Saturday article of Cardinal Couple. Case did a very, very good job of writing this one up. And I think Jared included 7 photos total, 5 of them celebration pictures. So
he sent me 8, and 2 of them were the same. I noticed only after I dragged all 8 of them into the article. I was like, wait a second.
He's telling you he liked that one so much. Damn it, run it twice, Case. What's your problem? No,
it was an action. It was to your
to
Paul's credit. It was an action shot.
Oh my God!
No. It was the one of Ali Alexander throwing the ball across the diamond. But she didn't do that much defensively that I felt like I needed to include the same throwing photo twice.
In Jared's camera mind, an action shot is Holly April walking from the dugout to third base. Oh, look, she's moving. That's a great one. Oh, look!
Yeah, she's a little bit harder to catch smiling on the field. She's so zoned in and focused that she doesn't really smile. Not that she's angry; it's just she's really focused on the game. And
yeah, and she is, and she's probably recollecting all the fruitless years she spent at Pittsburgh trying to coach a team up there. And then, could she have gone to somewhere that was really good in softball? No, she ended up in Louisville, but she lives in the stadium. Holly's a great person, a wonderful person to know, and certainly one that, if you all don't appreciate what she does here for the Cardinal softball program, then you are idiots, and I refuse to talk to you because she does a lot here. And
Holly's got opinions today. Woohoo!
Well, this is a lady that basically is he came in here in a very tough situation, as you remember, Jeff.
Oh yeah,
A legend.
I don't disagree with you. It's
Yeah.
just kind of fun to hear you go off like that.
Well, it is true. I mean, yeah, because people will willy-nilly will cry and say, "Well, she isn't up there beating the Florida states of the league and da 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 da." And I'm like,
Didn't they beat them twice last year?
Yeah.
we've got a crucial
last year,
series
2
coming
years
up
ago?
with
I don't
them.
know.
Let's
Yeah.
not let's yeah.
Yeah.
Just appreciate what you got, folks. It really is. Be thankful for what you got in Holly April.
Yeah.
And appreciate her, and don't complain about the fact that she lost 5 one-run games last year or whatever.
We've had a little bit of worry about, is her seat getting a little warm with, it's been a few years and not having the sort of success out of the program overall that we were looking for. But, and I think even early in the season, we were kind of going, but certainly this late season push that this team has put on, I think is more like what we are hoping to see, and have been really happy to see it coming about. I wish nothing but the best. I would want to see this program succeed. I'd love to see softball become the next national level program, kind of like we've seen what volleyball do. That I'd love for 4 years from now to be able to be talking about this perennial powerhouse Louisville. Like they do with volleyball. I'm going, I hadn't been that long, folks. But, yeah, it would be great to be there. So, and I'm hoping this is the beginning of that. We got a lot of talent in and starting to see it really come together late in this season. It's been great.
I think what's been good, we talked about, or Jeff, you talked about, a little bit of question marks at the beginning of the season. And really before the season and early in the season, we talked about Louisville leaning towards small ball and how there was some concern there. And Louisville, didn't start off with the most outstanding offense. But since then, it's really been a good mix of small ball and power, to the point that Louisville is about 34th, round about the same average as 5 or 6 teams in the ballpark in home runs per game. They've hit 49, but interestingly, Louisville's top 4 home run hitters have hit 46 home runs.
That's amazing.
So only 3 home runs from the rest of the team, but Louisville is still scoring as many runs as they are. They've got, I think, the second most runs scored in the league, having played fewer games than a number of teams, and I think that's a big testament to being able to get runners in, and make the most of their offense, which is something we had a lot of concerns with last year. They were leaving a ton of players on base. They weren't able to bring runners in, and even yesterday, they scored. What was that? They scored 10 runs on 11 hits, and still managed to leave 8 players on base because they had 9 walks. But you can't even be mad at leaving 8 players on base in that situation because you scored 10 runs and you won a run rule game. Getting on bases is critical, whether that is to have somebody behind you hit a home run, like was the case with Hannah File with the 2-run homer, or Taylor Roby hitting a solo shot, or just being able to move runners 90 or 60 feet, in softball, move runners 60 feet at a time and bring them around. So the offense is definitely doing their part. I really think it helps that Taylor Roby is not being asked to be the 100% star on both sides of the ball, and that's freed her up to be pretty effective on both sides separately, with a lot of support from Corby Otis offensively and Sarah Gordon, who has been a revelation, and Alyssa Zabala, that battery, 2 freshmen, who are really, really doing a lot there for Louisville, and it's exciting. And like I mentioned in the article, they're pretty much guaranteed 4th in the league if they can win one of the last 2 or one of these 2 games against Boston College, and depending on how things go next weekend, could be looking at even better finish. So it's a big turnaround from the middle of the season, where we're looking at them saying like, "How'd you lose to Charlotte in a midweek game?" But it's definitely looking positive for the Cards.
If Louisville wins out, which that's tough to do going down to Florida State next weekend, they could potentially finish first in the ACC.
Yeah, it would depend on what Clemson does, but if they win out, yeah, they could win the league.
Brian, you've got Clemson, Virginia Tech going on right now. They had to postpone their game yesterday due to rain, so I believe they got a doubleheader today. Another Virginia Tech loss or two, kind of as you were hinting there, would lock in a top 4 seed and a double bye in the ACC tournament, which would be phenomenal.
Double bye is worth their weight in gold in any sport, especially in softball.
Mm.
When you stop thinking about it, I can only think maybe basketball being where a double bye is more advantageous, but certainly it's better than having to play on opening day of the tournament. And before we kind of move on out of this a little bit here, you had mentioned Sarah Gordon, but this is something that is short of a miraculous hero story. At the start of the season, we were all kind of staring at each other in slack-jawed wonder, going, well, who's going to catch? We just graduated 3 of them. What do you think they're going to do? You think they'll move Roby behind the plate, which will pitch and then run back there and catch her own ball?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Well, guess who walked through the door? Sarah Gordon.
It's another super surprise freshman, like I was talking about with Elena Scott last year, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
She was
whoa,
a late
hey.
addition, right?
I don't recall.
I
don't-
feel like she was a late freshman ad. Like I think we were
Possible.
talking at the end of last year. Like Louisville doesn't have a freshman slated to come in, and they had no catchers on the roster.
This little girl stood up and said, "Hi, my name is Sarah Gordon, and I like to catch. Could I join your team? I'm pretty good at it." And
Yeah.
she has been incredible.
And she is good at that, but the amazing part is how good she is on the side of the plate as opposed to behind it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, just hitting. Talk about this hitting that she's been going through a little bit. This is a freshman, and normally freshmen to go through slumps at the plate.
Or
Not
take
so
a
with
while
Sarah.
to adjust to the level of play. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So she has started all 47 games for Louisville. She is second on the team in batting average behind only Corby Otis, who, if you remember, had like a 35-game hit streak or
Yeah.
on base streak anyway.
On base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's third on the team and one of 4 players with an OPS over 1,000. So earns at least 1 base in every 2 at-bats is a good way to think about that. So that's pretty fantastic. She is tied for 3rd in home runs with Corby Otis. Actually, looking at this, the NCAA stat website was not updated. Louisville has hit 51 home runs this season, not 49. It didn't count.
Roby's in
2
the
from yesterday.
lead. I think Corby's at 10, and then Hannah and Sarah are at 8.
File is at 10, and then Corby and Sarah at 8 there. So yeah, tied for 3rd in home runs, 3rd in OPS, 2nd in on base percentage, and like we said, as a freshman, doing all of this, it's pretty fantastic. Fielding, she's got a .984 fielding percentage, so that's probably just a passed ball, like maybe 1 passed ball. Oh no, she's got 4 errors. I'm sorry, it is listed there, but I mean, it's kind of hard to put some errors on catchers with what they end up doing, but she's caught 6 players stealing, only allowed 16 against. So yeah, she's pretty good for a freshman, which is why she's been named to the top 25 list for the National Freshman of the Year award. Only the 3rd Cardinal to be named to that list, joining pretty familiar names in Megan Hensley and Marissa Becker. The Louisville article did not mention, the Go Cards article did not mention whether either of those players advanced to the top 10 list, but neither has won the award. So Louisville or Sarah Gordon in pretty good company there, getting named to that list.
And I would just wonder, Jared, in your conversations with the alumni that you talked to yesterday, what were their impressions on Gordon?
We didn't get a chance to really talk about Sarah as much as just the team as a whole, and there was a lot of optimism from the alumni about how this team looks and the direction the program's going. Uh, they're at 33 wins, two shy of matching Holly April's career high at Louisville, and it would only be the second time in I think in about 7 or 8 years that Louisville's reached the 35 win mark. They're on pace to make the NCAA tournament at this point. Most likely, they're a 2 or 3 seed in somebody's regional. They're one of the top teams in the ACC this year, so the alumni are really excited with how things are going, especially with the young talent and the caliber of that talent on the roster right now.
Yeah, and another thing which we never talk about is the fact that in her family the talent's there. I mean, remember how well her older brother Lancaster Gordon did here at Louisville, and then moved on to. The guys haven't caught it yet. It's a parody.
Yeah.
Lancaster Gordon did not play with Sarah in any way, shape, or form, and is not a member of the family. But every time I see that name Gordon, I think of Lancaster Gordon.
Yeah,
I hope
I was familiar with the name as a former athlete at the University of Louisville. Not much beyond that. So
Lancaster Gordon was one excellent basketball player back in his day. But anyway, so let's hope that they can carry out the rest of the weekend. Get this done, get the sweep, get the broom out, and then maybe go down and shock the world, as they say, in Tallahassee when they go down to end the season, the regular season, against the Seminoles.
Was it last year that we won that series against them?
I think last year was
it last year or 2 years ago?
Series.
Yeah.
Oh, the tie.
Yeah,
where they had to rush out of town.
Yeah,
I think that was last year where we finished Sunday in a tie, so it was an even split on the series. But there was
yeah, it must have been the year before then, because I remember they won that night game that was on
right,
ESPN.
Was that Rebecca Chung with the big double to right?
It was Chung with the big shot, because we interviewed her right after the game, Jared, and she was just bubbly as all get out. She couldn't believe that she did it. She was just beside herself.
So that would be a bit of a coup this year if they can if they can repeat the situation, because this year it's on the road. Florida State is not just leading the league; they are 4th in the country.
So I think
not receiving any first place votes because nobody does except for Oklahoma.
Yeah. I think part of our confusion on we're trying to figure out what year on this is that I don't think we played them last year at all. Just looking at schedules.
I bet you it was the 2019 year, that really good year. I think we upset Florida State 2 out of 3 at home, and we walked it off against Kentucky in a midweek game at home.
Yeah, so they got 2 on us in 2021. 2020 would have been COVID year, so for that, I don't know that that's a complete schedule. So yeah, so it's been a few years since that was, but I think it may have been.
We wouldn't have played them at home twice in 2 years in a row.
Yeah,
gosh, Paulie was talking about weeks flying by. Talk about time flying, or remembering as if it was last year a series against Florida State from 4 years ago.
Yeah. The COVID year got canceled right before, like, Florida State was the next team we were going to play. COVID year.
It did, and the COVID year's really messed a lot of things up.
Yeah, it's really kind of screwed everything up.
Just out of a human interest side of things, Jared, what is our old buddy Funky up to these days?
She is up in Wisconsin working, but obviously still a lot of friends and family in the area, so she comes down quite often to visit and obviously support the program as much as she can. I forget who she said she stays with, but there's quite a few alum that are still really close to campus that try and make it out every once in a while to the games. Madison Ciasio's made quite a few appearances this year. Maddie Newman's made a few appearances. Carmen Greenwood. So they're all still connected well with the program, and having that nice alumni support is always a huge factor when you're trying to grow a program, especially in your nonprofit sports such as softball.
Absolutely so. So let's keep fingers crossed for the weekend, and also let's look ahead with anticipation next week. Maybe going down and shocking the world again against those Seminoles. So, and I'm going to kind of switch gears on you guys a little bit here if there's nothing else about softball Anybody else wants to get in? Going once, going twice.
Just
game-
hoping for a sweep this weekend.
Yeah, game today at 2:00. I am gonna try and get out there. So
If they can win today, it would be a new, a new season best winning streak.
nice.
Hopefully they'll get it done in walk-off fashion. Wouldn't that be fun? See them do this after 5 innings or 6 innings. But if I mention the names Curry, Taylor, Love, Jefferson, Ricard, Von Schaik, and possibly Spear to you, what am I talking about? a new law firm in town?
I think it's our almost completely our basketball roster, right?
It is basically the Jeff Balls. I bought them all clearance prices. I love this. Additions to the lineup. Yes, we're talking about, of course, Jada Curry, Sydney Taylor, Leah Love, Kiki Jefferson, and also the one that I'm really excited about, Nina Ricard. She is something else. And then Von Schaik. And then, are we going to fear the Spear or not? That seems to be the latest question right now. I know, Jared, you've got your ear to the ground on everything that happens on campus. What are you hearing about this possibility about Jules Spear, and what are your impressions on this class that Walls has built so far?
Yeah, I was joking. Coach Steph Norman threw out the opening pitch at softball yesterday, and I was joking that I should ask her her thoughts on Jules Spear, and I was like, yeah, I better not. But no,
You probably get a no comment, but
the recruiting, especially with the transfer portal, hey, you got to be able to adapt to how things are with the NCAA now and the way NIL works. And sometimes you're going to get those 1-year players. And Louisville's been on the fortunate end of several successful 1-year players that I think we need to be thankful for, as they've kind of helped set the tone and shown the rest of the country that you can come to Louisville and for your final year of eligibility and still be successful and make an Elite Eight or make a Final Four. And it just draws the attention to more and more players. As we're seeing, it looks like we have 9 or 10 on the roster currently, and it looks like all but 2 or 3 are set to graduate next year. So it's going to be a heck of a senior day. I'm excited to work with it, though. I think Walls is kind of playing a Moneyball move here in terms of replacing Van Lith. You're getting the scoring just from several people, but at the same time, you're getting better shooting percentages combined than what you had with Haley.
Yeah, when you look at the contingent of it, obviously some nice tall guards that are in this list here. You've got some definite scorers in this list here for sure. On Von Schaik, I don't know what she's going to actually provide in the interior for the cards, because of course you've got Olivia Cochran back. I keep hearing great things about Mobley and how she's been working in the off season, and how that she could really come in and just kind of put her stamp on a position in the fall. Obviously too early to talk about that. Mobley came in with such high expectations anyway before the injury.
I say if she can get healthy.
Yeah, you got to get her healed up. It's great to be a great running 2-year-old horse, but if you have a leg injury in your 3-year-old year, you're on the sidelines. But let's hope that she can do it. Let's hope that she can get back out there. Obviously, all this a bit in kind of dancing around the major story that involved Louisville women's athletics and basketball in the week. Even I heard about this one. That Haley Van Lith has decided that she's going to go down and try crawfish instead of burger, and is at LSU now. There's so many things you could say about this, and so many levels. We've had so many reader comments, not customer, reader comments about this, taking either a pro or a negative stance on what has transpired here. And we'll just kind of, now that we know, now that it's official, there were rumors out there floating around all week long about it. She went on and saw Mike the Tiger down on campus. Oh my goodness, no. She tried Bayou Restaurant. Oh my God, not that. She likes crawdads. What? No. What do you think, guys? Talk Haley to me.
The thing with Haley Van Lith and this story with UofL is its reach. I mean, this has been, to me, a little bit crazy how much people are talking about. I mean, I have people that know that I, write about this that, to my knowledge, pay very little attention to women's athletics and especially women's college basketball. That are asking me about, Haley Van Lith, and did you see she went to LSU? It's like, yes, I saw she went to LSU, of course. Like, I definitely saw before you did, but that's neither here nor there. But just the number of people that are asking and that are interested in this is, it goes to speak to the level of interest that she creates as a player, the level of interest of women's college basketball in Louisville. That it is something that permeates our, media ecosystem and landscape, and is talked about here. And it's tough to see. It's tough, I guess, for us to have, been thinking about it in
It is, yeah.
the incorrect way, I guess. We kind of missed. Jeff had what was a very believable and convincing theory, and I thought that it made.
And as
sense
we
to me.
find out, wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's tough to have been so wrong, because I agreed. It made a lot of sense to me. And it's at this point clear that wasn't the case. And to what she said yesterday, which I'm sure we'll talk about why she chose LSU instead of Louisville, that's just PR speak. And she's what else is she going to say? She's not going to come out and say, well, why'd you pick LSU? Oh, because I'm ring chasing and they won the national championship and returned their best player, and I think I could add to that team and then win another championship. She's not going to say that, right? So
I wouldn't mind if she did. That's the thing.
I agree.
And
The
there are
honesty
people
would be
who would love
refreshing,
to
but,
see it
but
happen,
no
yeah.
player's going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard the best answer I heard is that a person came up to a very knowledgeable person about Louisville basketball, and then critically said, "Hey, what about this Van Lith going to LSU? Why did that happen?" And the guy calmly looked at the other person and said, "Haley has been a Creedence Clearwater Revival fan for years and wanted to go to the source of where most of that music came from, the Bayou."
What, San Francisco?
Actually, CCR was a San Francisco,
Right?
there, but the
They were actually
majority of
looking
their
out the
music
back door.
was about being, down in the bayou,
Yeah.
chasing down hoodoos and going for crawdads and everything else. And she actually went down in search of John Fogerty, wherever he is.
You're saying their back door was they were looking out at the San Francisco Bay and not
Yes, indeed. It was born on the bayou. It was born into the bay.
born on the Bay. And then we
Born
also
in
just
the
added the
bay.
OU, and we needed to. That's
All I'm
everybody just
saying
got
is
confused because
Born
they
in the
needed to
bay.
add.
Ooh.
Yeah, they needed to add a syllable for the line to make sense.
All-
Everybody got confused about it.
All I'm saying is the group was from San Francisco. That's
Actually,
where they started.
They
I'm
were
not
from
disagreeing with it.
El Cerrito,
Yeah, whatever.
a suburb
Close enough.
of San Francisco, and
Yeah.
was
It's,
their
it's all one big major
recording
metropolitan area.
studio out there, Fantasy Studios, where they did their recording and everything, is actually 1/4 of a mile from where my sister-in-law lives. Amazing. I was actually out on a walk the last time we visited them in San Francisco, and she lives in El Cerrito.
Oh, okay. So El Cerrito's over on the East Bay side.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is on the
Yeah.
East Bay side. I walked around the corner. I saw a row of
Richmond.
buildings, and I saw the sign saying Fantasy Studios.
Yeah.
And I said, "This is the place. This is the place. I can't believe it."
Huh.
And went to the front door, and it was locked, so I couldn't go in and look around. But anyway, they'd probably throw me out anyway. Yeah. So, Jared, you've kind of had some varying viewpoints on the whole thing here. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, it's I get that players bounce around and whatnot nowadays, especially with the NIL money and chasing championships. But it's been tough when Haley Van Lith's been all season preaching loyalty, which I think at times early in the season was also kind of a slight at other players that had left the Louisville program recently. As well as the appreciation for the fan base and the trust she has with her team and coaches that they can, take this team and take this program far, and for her to kind of up and run, especially with a lot of the recent talent graduating, it's frustrating, and it's really shown on the fans, especially the fans who have been there game after game, cheering her on and supporting her and showing her love, and the little girls that are showing up in their own pigtails and posters of Haley at these games, who looked at her kind of as an idol, and it's tough. I think a lot of the fan base is kind of feeling a little betrayed, especially with where she ended up with Kim Mulkey down there.
Yeah, as David Watson so likes to put it, she's joined up with the crazy lady. Look at.
Yeah, Kim Mulkey makes Jeff Walls look sane.
Makes him look like a very dull pedestrian in the street of life, right? I just want to know where Kim Mulkey got that last outfit and whether I could wear it basically to a game next year.
Yeah, you need to go be on the Hunger Games. Is where you get those outfits.
Is that what it is? Because I'd like to wear something
Hey,
like that.
everybody's got opinions today.
Yeah. It's just like
I'm clearly not a Kim Mulkey fan.
No, I'm not either. So again,
no,
And
my
her
favorite.
refusal to support one of her best players ever at
Yeah.
Baylor also did not.
Oh
sit well with me at all.
yeah, absolutely. That didn't go well at all with Brittany Griner. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, at least you could say something. No, nothing there.
Yeah.
But of course, I'll never forget a story I read about her real quick, and then I'm going to get your take on this here case a little bit. Is when she was at Baylor, she had to sit out for some reason for a while. I don't know whether she had surgery. What was it where Mulkey was actually not coaching for a little while, and so she threw all her efforts into her flower garden in the front of her house, but all the flowers died. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're a flower and we're faced with the prospect of seeing Kim Mulkey storm out that front porch each morning, go to her car, glare at you like, you don't look too good, would you want to live in that environment? I wouldn't. If I was a flower, I'd die immediately. That's so the story goes is you got what you asked for, LSU. Enjoy it. Obviously, they did with the national title. Will they continue to enjoy it in years to come? What do you think, Case? What about this girl, Haley Van Lith, teaming up with Angel Reese, who's a pretty good ball player in her own right? Is there going to be possibly ball hogging issues here?
Case had to step away. Oh,
I'm
you
back.
there?
Yeah,
Okay.
made it back just in time, actually.
Cool.
I didn't even see the I'm
Yeah.
not on the video right now, but
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah, I don't know that ball hogging is. Well, you know, I don't know. It's tough to say. We kind of have a lot of experience as Louisville fans with the acclamation of Haley Van Lith in with new team members, right? Louisville depended a lot on that this season, and there were a lot of growing pains early. I don't think that it will be the smoothest start to their relationship in the early in the season. I think that LSU probably has enough talent and will probably not play the most difficult early season schedule like we see Louisville build up with a lot earlier in the year. And they'll be able to sort that out. But I think they will not, like I said, not have the smoothest run at it. I don't know that it'll impact them that much from a results perspective. I think that they're going to be pretty good, and you know they don't play the same position. It's not two guards fighting for ball control and scoring ability. It's different scoring at different levels, and I don't think there'll be too much of a ball hogging issue, just maybe a gelling issue. And you know, I don't care if they lose. I know that it's like it's a little bitter to be that way, but I don't really care. I said that, or Jeff said it would be refreshing for a player to be clear that they were ring chasing. Obviously, that's not. Players say that they want to go to a tournament and win a championship when they're transferring from a school that is not a competitor. a, a mid-major school or one that is kind of a bottom dweller in their conference. But you transferred from a national championship contender to a national championship contender, and I don't care if you get knocked out in the first round. Like it's not. I don't have any affinity for a former Louisville player who is going to be like that.
So I think the interesting thing is, I said I wouldn't mind if she'd said that, right? I don't actually believe it's the truth, though. I think the reason she went to LSU was NIL money.
Yeah, and that's something we just don't know, right? That's a part of it.
Yeah.
But there were plenty of other schools, right, that would have been clamoring for her. For her talents and paying her plenty for NIL money. And, if that would have been a reason she wanted more, she could have probably leaned on some people here and gotten more.
Maybe.
So, I don't buy that as the whole reason. And I think that, part of it is obviously that
we all know
she didn't think she was going to win a championship here, or didn't want to try, and thought that it would be easier there.
Baton Rouge, obviously, much closer to Seattle than Louisville was, which was her main reason to.
Yeah, she was going to be closer to home, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, her parents just bought that estate down in New Orleans, so okay, yeah, but no, I'm kidding there. There were all kinds of stories and everything like that. Just I wonder what she's going to do with all those shirts and that she had made up with the Van Lift 10 and Louisville gear. She probably got some back stock on those. Do you think we'll probably see some kids in Guatemala wearing those next year? After flood victims. Look, we are Haley Strong. Oh, okay.
I don't know. I thought it was amusing though with of course Jack Harlow was fairly well known for having worn the number 10 Haley Van Lift jersey on stage a couple of times. And then he drops his new album this week, and the cover art has him shirtless. I thought, that's appropriate.
To clarify, the flight time from Baton Rouge to Seattle is longer than the flight time from Louisville to Seattle. Not that you could get a direct flight from Louisville, but I thought that was
not that you could from Baton Rouge. I mean, can you get it
further away?
Yeah.
What kind of Jack Airlines is going to send you from Baton Rouge to Seattle?
We at least have UPS. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah. Well, I have no objections at all. Put in there a first class sticker on her and put in there in cargo and say, go. Have a safe trip. Don't get your pigtails caught in the door on the way in.
Oh, it looks like that's including connections. So it is faster to go from SDF to Seattle, to SeaTac, than from Baton Rouge to SeaTac. And even if you could fly direct, it would be faster from Louisville. So,
of course, SeaTac isn't exactly close to her home either.
Oh, true.
Yeah, I would. My guess would be, what is it? Minneapolis is the stopping point if you're flying out of Louisville.
It depends who you fly with. I mean, you could hit Denver as an option, or Vegas is another option for connecting flights.
Well, who knows? You could end up in Charlotte to fly to Seattle with the connections you can get out of Louisville. They're a disaster.
I just remember years ago going out there on Northwestern Airlines, and there was Minneapolis where, because I've got a couple of cousins that still live in the Seattle area.
Just now part of Delta, so that's an option when you're with Delta.
Yeah, I guess it is, because we went through Minneapolis, and I remember not being impressed with the city that I saw. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how the Cards basically bounce and come back from this, obviously with Olivia Cochran still there. But when you take a look at these 6 confirmed players that are coming into the program, guys, we'll just go through them real quickly. Do any of these stand out to you as being the ones that could step in and say, okay, you're missing 19 points a game. I think I can help there. Anybody on that, Jared? Is there one of these that you like more than the other?
It's tough to say because I haven't really seen any of them play in person, and I haven't seen how any of them are going to be able to adapt to the Jeff Walz system yet. Because it's not about how well can you play offense in Louisville. It's how well can you play defense, and how great is your ball movement on offense. So I don't know what that looks like for any of these transfers coming in. and some of them may be able to adapt and adjust to it a little bit quicker than others. But that's why we have this entire off season to figure it out. So once we get to a preseason, and maybe I'll be able to make it out to a practice or two at that point, then it'll kind of give me a better feel for what to expect out of the different players.
So much for pre-race handicapping out of you.
Well, it's a whole heap and helping of question marks, really. I mean,
Yeah, I think Olivia Cochran's looking pretty good next year. Nyla Harris is looking pretty good next year. I'm gonna go with the safe route.
I'll make a claim. It's the one that I wrote about last week, maybe. But the addition of Sydney Taylor, Louisville has not had what you could consider a consistent spot up shooter in quite a while that I can remember. One that you can find her on the perimeter and feel pretty confident that the shot's going to go up and that it's going to go in. And Sydney Taylor was a really good shooter over her career, and maybe she's not replacing 19 points a game, but depending on how you're going to play offense with the other additions that Louisville's getting, you've got somebody that can be there as an outlet, that can move off the ball, that can get you points from the outside when a dribble drive doesn't work, or a dribble drive and kick out is the plan. Stuff like that. That's some offense that I'm excited for. Like I said, that Louisville has been missing in the last few years.
Certainly a player that, is just getting a lot of really, really good stuff said about her in the transfer into Louisville, that they're thinking that maybe, she might be able to just jump in there and grab all of those points and then do some really good things for them. I kind of like Nina guards, and the reason I do, she's a smaller guard, kind of like Haley is, a 5'9" guard. And that, true, she played for Florida, and Florida women's basketball is not anything to be spectacular or anything like that, but, she was a Miss New York basketball nominee back when she was in high school. We all know a lot of great players come out of New York that play ball. I think she's a girl that could probably step in there and say, okay, you know what? You all are looking for a point guard? Hi, my name is Nina Ricardo. I'll play. Put me in there. I'll be a great point guard. And so I expect her to see her do some things, but time will tell. We shall see as we basically will go through a summer debating all this, and also wondering if the 500-pound elephant in the closet is going to come charging out and say, fear the spear. Can you imagine her on a Louisville team, guys?
With all the familiarity of the ACC already there.
Yeah. Just the way she plays, her scoring abilities. She was the one player when she came into Louisville to play games that I honestly hoped would foul out early. That would not be there to hurt us, would not be there to do anything damaging to the guards, because she had that potential where she could just step in there and go, look out, because I have the ball now and I'm going to score, and I'm going to score a bunch on you, and you're not going to like this.
I think depending on how Louisville wants to play, they need to potentially find some more depth in the front court.
A good point, Case, because basically you are a tad bit weak there. We don't know for sure how Mobley's going to come into the season and play after being out with the injury. We certainly saw enough good things out of Olivia Cochran over the last couple of years to think, yeah, she's got to be the prime focus inside. But then Nyla Harris, a lot of people liked her freshman year but weren't in love with it. They do need that extra inside, don't they?
I think that you got a lot out of Olivia Cochran. It's easy to say, but you also had Liz Dixon there. They played pretty much a 1-2 tandem, especially because Olivia Cochran has the propensity to get into foul trouble, and Nyla Harris plays a different style of front court ball. She's not like a big bruiser. Admittedly, I don't know a ton about how Henny Van Schaik plays. She, was an 11 11.6, 7.2 per game player last year, points and rebounds. So effective. But you had a very similar player in Liz Dixon to Olivia Cochran last year. And you're going to be looking at, like you said, we don't know how Alexia Mobley is going to come out. And we don't know how Jeff Walz is going to want to play with the roster that he's going to have built up. So maybe just a single big, and you're going to play 4 guards and play a smaller brand of ball because of the length that they're going to have at guard next year. You don't know. So I could see that being a potential target with, I guess, one of the 3 or 4 roster spots they have left.
Liz, I will miss most of all. I really loved the way her game developed and kind of prospered at Louisville, and her willingness to do anything that Jeff Walz wanted as far as court time and what court presence meant. She was not particularly selfish about playing time like Liz Balogun was. If she could get in there in 5 minutes and make a difference, she would be very, very happy about that at the end of a game. If she played 30 minutes, she'd be equally happy. So they don't make them much like Liz anymore, gang.
Mhm.
But hey, guess I'm looking here at the clock, and guess what it is? The noon hour. So certainly had a fun discussion here today about a lot of the good things of Louisville women's athletics, and then of course we threw the Debbie Downer in at the end with the Haley Van Lip story. But the good thing is that Cardinal basketball on the women's side is still alive and well, and we'll be hoping to draw 10,000 out to see this new batch of Cardinals as they get out there, with maybe 1 or 2 more surprises. We'll roll on into final thoughts then. As I'm going to start with Jared this week because I know he wants to get out and do some things. So we're going to get you in and out real quick. Jared, what's your final thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, just glad it's been another extremely successful school year for UofL sports. Is by the time we're on air, well, not next week, but in 2 weeks, then all the women's sports for at least for home events will be done. So I'll be wrapping up my 22 to 23 sports photo season here in the next couple of weeks, which is cool that made it another year, but also sad to see this year's already flown by at that point, and how much I just love getting out and photographing all the different teams and their games.
Yeah, just a quick reminder to you also, we will not be on the air next Saturday since it is Derby Day here in the state of Kentucky and city of Louisville, and I think everybody's having a Derby party except me, from what I've been seeing here. and that's fine because I'm going through my antisocial hermit mode of life right now, where I wouldn't go to it even if I was the featured guest. So who cares? But it's always fun to watch the race. So, but we will miss you all next week. We'll be back the week after that on that. And that's kind of my final thoughts on it. Is that it's going to be nice to fully immerse myself into Derby festivities now as a nice sideline byline instead of having to think about the present. I can kind of put that on the side for a week and enjoy Derby week, and then worry about other things later on down the road. Jeff, your final thoughts?
I had one and then it's gone.
Poof.
Poof. I'm going to Jersey on Monday. That'll be fun. That's a pseudo work thing though. No, I was also going to say the thing I was going to say was, you all were talking about having people pinging you, asking you if you'd seen the news about HVL going to LSU. I said, I got to be proud of my friends. None of them pinged me asking me if I'd heard the news. They just pinged me and started making commentary about it because they knew that I had seen it. So
yeah,
yeah, okay. They know they don't have to ask me that. So.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, did you see that Asia Doer's going to play for Louisville? No, I didn't see that. But what gets me is one of our rivals, not really a rival site, but another site out there that comments on Louisville athletics has still not learned how to spell Asia Doer after probably 10 years now.
Just spell it.
Adding that E in there between the U and the R's. No, that E isn't a part of it. That's not. Yeah, it would be like spelling angel with 2 A's. Angel. All right. Enough on that nonsense. That's what you got.
Yeah, we mentioned earlier the Clarkwood Invitational. So yesterday, Louisville had a pretty good day. Kaya Yeast I'll just mention women's side events. Kaya Yeast had the third fastest in school history wind unassisted time in the 200-meter dash, and won that event. Sinclair Savage, unsurprisingly, won the women's long jump. She is, as a reminder, the
She's done a
school
lot.
record holder.
Yeah,
Yeah.
School record holder in that event.
had a pretty good prior there. Yeah.
Yeah. Catherine Coffey was first in the discus throw, and she set a personal best in that. She also set a personal best in the women's hammer throw, and finished second. And then Sadie Morris set a season best time in the women's 800-meter run to get a runner-up finish. So pretty good there. Louisville women with 3 wins. Louisville total with 6 wins yesterday in that event. So successful day as the spring track and field season is wrapping up.
There it is. So for everybody, will have a good weekend. The rest of the weekend, it is opening day at Churchill. So if that's your bent, go on out there and play a few ponies. If you want to watch the cards, they're on ACC proper today in softball. And it's just looking to be a really nice day out there so far from what I can see. So get out and enjoy the weather a little bit. And if you see Jared, ask for a selfie. We'll be glad to oblige you if you go to the ball game. That'll do it for us. Thanks to everybody for listening, and we'll catch you down the road. Go Cards.